Good evening and welcome back to WillBrattonWx. We are out here covering all sorts of severe weather around the United States. This evening, on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see some traffic cameras based in South Carolina, as we do have quite a handful of storms out there, including 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. One of those being a considerable severe thunderstorm warning you're seeing here. This is pretty near Columbia, so this is going to include Aiken, Lexington, Richland, and Saluda counties. When are the tornadoes in the Midwest? I think a lot of that energy may have been exerted a little bit already, but we could definitely see some stronger storms capable of producing a tornado still roll through the Midwest here, especially the UP of Michigan. But if we get anything up there, it's going to be more of an isolated storm that kind of rolls through the UP of Michigan at this point. I wanted to go live earlier, but unfortunately, I could not. Do I think there's going to be any tornadoes in Arizona? No, I do not. All those storms are pretty elevated. It's going to be a wind risk out there. Sheridan, Wyoming just hit 108 degrees, surpassing their all-time record of 107 degrees. Wow. How about that? A lot of hot areas around the United States right now. And that trend will continue, as we've all come to know anyway. All right, we're just getting settled in here. Again, we do have much to discuss this evening. We're going to check in on what's going on down in Arizona, where we do have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning tagged with 70-mile-per-hour winds out here not far from Tucson, to the southeast, just down the highway from Tucson, south of Pantano, and including Pantano. But this is just, again, these are elevated storms producing some very, very strong winds here. Generally, out here in Arizona, there are a couple more severe thunderstorm warning polygons, as we have, let's see, Pima, Yavapai, and Cochise counties, all within these severe thunderstorm warnings here. And definitely some stronger storms out here in Arizona. Everything else we have right now is completely contained to the Carolinas, so we're just looking at a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings in place around the map. Not a very, very exciting night by any stretch, but we'll go live here for a couple of hours and spend a little time together, because why not? Again, we do have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And this one is rolling through the general Columbia area. I will say it looks a lot weaker now than it did while we were getting the broadcast set up. You're going to watch some of these bright greens are going to show up here as I go back in time. But as we go forward in time, they really start to fall apart. So it looks like this storm kind of downbursted as it collapsed and just got near Columbia. So Columbia might be getting a little bit of a dry storm in terms of not a ton of precipitation, but definitely some gusty winds with this depleting and dying thunderstorm as it rolls on through Columbia in South Carolina here. Another one in South Carolina. This one is not far from Augusta, Georgia. I'll zoom out a little for a little context on where we're at. This one out here just tagged for 60-mile-per-hour winds. The one down near Ridgeland, though, that one is tagged with these 60-mile-per-hour winds as well. And it wouldn't shock me to see some very small hail with this one. You can see the types of boundaries these storms are pushing out all over the map. I mean, you can see them clearly on radar in so many different little areas, just tons of these boundaries in place. Generally, some decently impressive thunderstorms in terms of just how much wind is being pushed out by them. Seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat tonight. We got Josh and Adrian. We got Logan. We got Michelle. We got my grandfather. We got Calamity Jess, Cruz, Torcast, Derek Wagner, and Shukasoba. A lot of familiar faces. Good to see you all. I hope none of you guys are in the path of any of these stronger storms out here. The camera you're seeing in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen is Old Richton Road in Mississippi there. And that is in Petal, by the way. Will, what's it going to take for you to sub to me? Oh, I don't know. Crew saying I'm leaving you on the car speaker, Will. I'm storm chasing, so I can't chat much. What are you chasing, my guy? Aren't you out in Alabama? Yes, there's plenty of general thunderstorms out here. Legacy Adventures saying a drop to light, can't stay, but have fun. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, my friend. I think day 6 looks like it'll be a significant tornado day in the Ohio Valley. What are you talking about? Friday, it looks like? Looks like the Storm Prediction Center did actually wipe away one of the outlooks that they had in place. Yeah, day 6 for Friday is, I'll go ahead and show you guys what I'm looking at. Day 6 for Friday, it's got that 15% region already outlined. And we've got a 15% region outline in the Northeast for Tuesday as well. Tomorrow is going to be really a giant nothing burger. So we're not going to be live tomorrow at any points. A little bit of a day off for us. And then Tuesday morning, we'll be coming at you with a forecast video. That's going to take you through the next handful of days. And then our next forecast video after that will probably be Friday. So we'll have a forecast video on Tuesday and Friday. And then I will be out of town Saturday. And then we'll be able to broadcast on Sunday as well. So we got a lot going on in general over the next few days, but maybe the next week or so. Just not tomorrow. I think day 6 is potential for large and strong tornado. Well, okay, the one thing I'll say is that when it comes to these types of tornado risks, when you're identifying them 6 days out, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the forecast. Scott out of Columbia talking about suddenly getting dark outside my window, not dusk yet, just one of those yellow polygons. There you go. Juan, I see you in the chat. How you doing today? But yeah, Logan, we'll be taking a really deep dive into Friday's setup, and we'll have a forecast video coming out that morning. Six days out, are any cams even touching that far out? No. But you can get a good idea of what type of instability, what type of lift you might have. But there will be a lot of uncertainty in any forecast that is looking that far out. Our considerable severe thunderstorm warning here has just been downgraded for Columbia, which makes sense as you can watch these storms completely collapse here. We definitely had a decent downburst out here near Columbia. 6 days, that would be pattern signs. Yeah, more or less. All right, we're going to check in on the considerable severe thunderstorm warning out here in Arizona for Pima County. Still tagged with those 70-mile-per-hour winds. This can't be right. 3:24 p.m. That ain't right. Something ain't right. Because that would have been an hour and 40 minutes ago. Or unless this part of Arizona is in like Pacific time, but that says Mountain time. Anyway. Stronger storms still out here in Arizona. Again, there's not a lot going on. Tonight's broadcast will likely not be a very long one. But I did want to make sure we could go live at least for some period of time. Oh, the radar actually might be down. Hang on. No? Okay, it's not down. Actually, wait. No, it might be down. This is like 11 minutes ago. Hang on. It might be partially down. The Tucson radar. Yeah, I do have a place file that will tell me when they're down, but it's not flawless. Every now and then, one of them will sneak through. Yeah, 6 days out, you're really looking for long-term signals. You're not looking at anything of like, oh, here's exactly what I think is going to happen and where I think it's going to happen. You're not looking at anything like that. You're looking at signals for broad regions on a day 6 outlook. So essentially, you're trying to identify areas where something might happen. Well, I think Friday is a possible nothing burger. We'll see. I'm going to be able to do like a full analysis on it eventually. Sometime tomorrow probably. We're going to make a forecast video Tuesday morning and I'll talk about it a little bit. Do I think storms cause the radar to go down? Probably not. It's not outside of the realm of possibility though. I'm a coder, so I'm always looking at things that way. Try not to get annoyed with me. Nah, you're good, dude. You are completely good. Feedback, ideas, whatever it is, man, we welcome it all. Let's see if I can find a good camera. One of these storms in South Carolina. There you go. That one's looking westbound. There's this one in Columbia on I-20 looking west. All right. On the bottom of your screen in just a second here, you're going to start seeing everything coming up about the Storm Prediction Center. Right now, we're going through all the watches that are in place. We do have a large severe thunderstorm watch in South Carolina. Right now, we're going to cycle through some of those warnings too. We do have a handful of considerable severe thunderstorm warnings in place in Arizona, all in central Arizona here, kind of between Flagstaff and Phoenix, where a handful of these have, or these areas have gotten some stronger thunderstorms with tons of rain. That I-20 camera is about 5 miles from me. Looks about right. Yeah, fair enough. We can go ahead and we'll big cam it here for a second. Take a look at that one out there. You can't really see anything crazy, but a lot of vehicles out there driving around. See a little bit of road work maybe going on. Some flashing lights there keeping people away from those cones, but I don't know what that exact situation is. Here's the SPC outlook at the bottom of your screen, or will be coming through in a minute here, actually. Give me just a second. That'll work. There we go. Day one outlook starting to roll through the bottom of your screen. But yeah, definitely a interesting situation out there on I-20 where this storm is close to it. Let me try this one. Let me see if I can find a better view. This is a decent one here. As this is on 26 eastbound. And you can see the horizon at least a little bit with this one. Yeah, in general, we are looking at a handful of flash flood warnings. 3 of them being considerable out in Arizona. One of them not a considerable. That one's near Tucson, just east of town. And then a considerable severe thunderstorm warning down there for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Back in the Carolinas, plenty of storms out here in the Carolinas. I do want to point out that back into the Virginias, we're just looking at a ton of flash flood warnings in places. There's just been so much precipitation, all these pop-up showers and storms for multiple days in this area, which is pretty standard in the summertime. But we are looking at a lot of precipitation that has fallen and a lot of flash flooding being possible. You'll notice at the top of your screen, there's 22 flash flood warnings going on right now, which is kind of ridiculous. It's like maybe we just got a severe thunderstorm warning in Arkansas. That's kind of what that looked like to me there. It was a little small on my screen. We'll wait for it to pop up in my radar program here. Won't take too terribly long. But still some generally stronger storms. I will say this one here west of Wilmington definitely looks like it could be producing some pretty strong gusty winds as it looks to be kind of downbursting. Definitely downbursting here. So that one could be producing maybe up to 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So it wouldn't shock me to see that one get upgraded to a considerable. As these are, whoops, these are pretty low to the ground here, only 900 feet in the air. Is there rotation on that? No. No, nothing tornadic there. None of these storms are really going to have anything tornadic. The tornado risk is almost entirely like 0 here. But yeah, I'm not really expecting any type of a tornado risk in the Carolinas at all. Here's back to South Carolina, where we do have a handful of stronger storms. One near Columbia. Again, that's what you're following along with on the in the corner of your screen in the bottom left there. That one's nothing crazy going on at all. This one out here near St. Matthews and Orangeburg. That one's still kicking though, where we have those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. In fact, this is a much younger, much newer storm that's firing off pretty rapidly, and it would not shock me at all to see this one become another downbursting scenario. That's the primary risk out in the Carolinas today. Same thing in Arizona. And then the storm out here for Ridgeland. That one tagged with 60-mile-per-hour winds as well. That one is hanging on, staying alive. You can see a little bit of those spreading winds with this one as well. So generally a lot of storms doing similar stuff out here in the Carolinas. Here's that storm in Arkansas, by the way. This one's out near Fountain Hill and Hamburg. This one is going to include Ashley County. And it is, that's 60-mile-per-hour winds, by the way. It is very possible that, like any of these random storms that fire off in Arkansas, back through even Mississippi, Alabama, even Tennessee or Georgia, any of them could locally become severe thunderstorms. None of them are going to be producing significant damage, but 60-mile-per-hour winds definitely possible. You can just see a beautiful MCV in place here. I'm going to pull some frames back so we can get a better look at this. But Scott saying, I got a bit of a downburst in Kershaw County, South Carolina earlier this afternoon. Yeah, it does not surprise me. So check this out. With these storms, as I go back and forth in time, what you'll notice is that they're perfectly rotating in a perfect circle like this. A very, very classic MCV setup here. Right over, really like Middle Tennessee. Right over Nashville and Murfreesboro. I don't think we're going to get a single tornado warning this whole live stream. Do you? No, I don't. But it's not impossible. And again, we're only going to broadcast for a couple of hours here tonight. But I felt it was worth it to go live at least for a little bit. Because there will be a couple of stronger storms out here. And you never know who might be driving around in territory they're not familiar with and needs to tune into a broadcast to tap into some of these storms that they may be driving through. It is a Sunday after all, so anybody who traveled will be on the way home, most likely. Yeah, generally just stronger storms out here in the Carolinas, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible with all of these. And this is what we're looking at, by the way. So up in the northern Midwest, we did have that conditional tornado risk earlier today. And I don't really think anything is going to come of that any longer this evening. We could get an isolated storm that rolls through like the UP of Michigan that comes out of Canada here across the lake, basically. And if an isolated storm gets going, it could definitely take advantage of the environment because the environment is still there. Out in Montana, we do have a marginal risk, and there is actually a severe thunderstorm warning out there that I'll check in on in a few minutes. But down in Phoenix area, Phoenix and Tucson especially, we're looking at these stronger storms to pop up and downburst, creating those damaging wind gusts. And then generally just large areas throughout the entire South, all the way back through Texas even, where we could see some stronger winds producing a little bit of damage, but nothing crazy. Really, the Carolinas is the #1 concern. That severe storm warning near Hardeeville, South Carolina is over I-95 in a high traffic area with vacationers coming in and out of Georgia, Florida. Okay, we can check in on that in a minute. Hail risk was entirely for earlier, really. Again, if a supercell can come off the lake and get going, we could still see a tornado risk or a hail risk, but it would be a long shot to see a storm out there do that. Billings hit 110 degrees, another all-time record. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. There you go. Where's Hardeeville? Oh, okay, I'm staring at it. That would be this one. Okay, I see what you're talking about, Scott. I'll I'll pull a camera or three. Actually, I do already have, I can go ahead and turn it on. Camera two there is out on this storm. I was looking at it earlier. I need to find one that's kind of looking the right direction though. That one's looking north. That one looks south. Let's see if this one doesn't really give us much. I mean, all of these are out here in South Carolina that we're looking at now. All right, we're going to jump really quickly to the storm in Montana and just give it a quick look. This is one of those downbursting scenarios out here in Great Falls, a very, very elevated storm that we can't even really see. This does have 60-mile-per-hour winds tagged with it. Yeah, we can't even, there's just no way to get a visual on this storm. You got to pull from the Missoula radar. And even then, everything's, it's just messy. Just some elevated storms out there. Let's try the Billings radar. Yeah, I mean, you just can't get a view on that one. I would assume it's just locals out there that have reported some stronger winds and initiated this severe thunderstorm warning. But it is in place for Cascade, Chateau, and Teton counties in Montana. And our considerable severe thunderstorm warning in Arizona was lifted, by the way, or at least reduced. Down here in Arizona, it was reduced. No, it was entirely lifted. I see. I saw Miles City, Montana was at 114 degrees earlier. Yep, it's been hot up there. So yeah, some stronger thunderstorms out here in Arizona. Xylon saying hi from Savannah, Georgia. Hello. Am I happy with the Cardinals so far going into the All-Star game? I haven't really followed them that closely since like the first 20 games of the year, to be honest with you. But I expect, and they started the year off really, really well, and I expected them to fall apart a little bit because they're such a young team. I mean, there's such a bright future there, but you have to give that type of team time. Out here in Fountain Hill and Hamburg and Mist in Arkansas, still a stronger storm. I'm going to see if we can find a good camera out there and get a good look at that one. This one may be, I'm going to put this one on slot 3. So that one's in Arkansas, looking sort of towards that one, that storm out there that we're looking at. That's a cool camera. I wish it was looking the other direction. I know you guys can't see some of these. This is a pretty cool one, though. I'm going to just throw this one on slot 1 just because it's cool. That's the Mississippi River. I don't know exactly which direction we're looking. If we're looking westbound, then eventually this storm will kind of come into sight. But one thing, I'm going to go ahead and full screen this one, though, because one thing you're going to notice with this camera is you're going to see all those cumulus clouds bubbling up on the horizon there. Just tons of little storms. And that is on the bottom of your screen below the camera. All of these little storms that are firing off, that is exactly what you're looking at. All those little cumulus towers on the top of the camera there. Just those white areas that are pillowing up, those taller clouds. Those are all your little cumulus bubbles that you're seeing on the bottom of your screen circled. So pretty cool stuff. We still have a winning record. Yeah, I believe it. I just haven't followed them very closely. All right, out in Jasper, South Carolina, we do have still this severe thunderstorm warning in place for Ridgeland. And this warning has consistently just gotten shrunken down. I mean, all of these storms are just going to continue to be downbursters. So they're not going to be anything that's going to be particularly dangerous in terms of like widespread severe weather threats. But what you will have is a couple of stronger downbursting winds that kind of catch you off guard. And especially on the roadways, that can be pretty dangerous. And there's also the potential where you get a mesoscale accident where two storms collide and you get a brief spin up tornado. That's not something that's outside the realm of possibility. So there a couple tornadoes are possible tonight, but I don't expect us to get a single tornado or a single tornado warning tonight. Yeah, all of our severe thunderstorm warnings right now on the map are either in the Carolinas, in Arizona, and then we have the two out there, in one in Arkansas, one in Montana. Yeah, I do want to be clear that the tornado threat for this evening is very, very close to zero. And again, I would not rule out, and I wouldn't entirely rule out another isolated storm coming off Lake Superior into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and becoming tornadic or producing some large hail. I wouldn't entirely rule that out, but it's definitely a long shot. So if you are someone who lives up there, definitely make sure you're staying aware of that possibility. But it's not something you need to be like, significantly worried about, is I guess the right way to put it. Scott saying, truly the greatest risk for South Carolina is tree limbs coming down from downbursts if they hit right, not expecting more than that. Yeah. And the thing with tree limbs that come down is when they fall on power lines, you can knock out the entire grid sometimes, you can knock out half of a town or half of a city or something like that for some period of time. We did get a severe thunderstorm warning out here to the west of Fort Lauderdale. This one's just 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some small hail. Some of these generic thunderstorms going on out here in Florida, though I will say this is a slightly more organized system, possibly, or maybe it just looks like it is. I'll go back in time. We'll figure it out. We'll do some investigating here. Yeah, so a little bit more of an organized system than you'll sometimes see out here in Florida. You will see that classic comma head did kind of form here. So we do have a mesoscale front essentially going on. And so that's what's kind of firing off some of these storms down here. It wouldn't shock me to see this one due west of Fort Lauderdale drop some hail. See if I can find a camera on that one. There's a lot of cameras on this interstate. I want to put this one in slot 2. So we got a new camera in slot 2. That one's out here in Florida. It's pretty much right along the highway over here. And of course, ponding on the roads from heavy rains possible. Saw some of that earlier. Oh, yeah. Turn around, don't drown. You do not want to be that guy. No one has ever drowned or lost their vehicle by driving around water. It's only when you drive through it. We still have these considerable flash flood warnings in place out here in Arizona. These are going to include Yavapai, Gila, and that's it. Counties in Arizona. Just those 2 counties. As 2 of them are in Yavapai. Or Yavapai. Yavapai, I have no idea. All right, our storm in Ashley County, Arkansas, still kicking. 60-mile-per-hour winds definitely possible on this one. There is actually a little bit, perhaps, of broad rotation going on here. Wouldn't rather watch anything else while eating my dinner. Appreciate it, Mikey. That's one of our incredible storm chasers, Mikey Plemons, in the chat there. Give him a follow if you haven't already. The storm down near Fountain Hill definitely has a little bit of rotation, by the way. So something to watch out for. It's not anything, particularly concerning. This is 10,000 feet in the air, and it's very weak rotation. As we are in a radar hole. We need another radar unit out here. Somewhere in that circle, maybe, would be a great spot to put a radar. Maybe even just like here. Anywhere over in this circle would be a great place to put a radar. Yeah, just a little bit of rotation is in place with this storm near Fountain Hill. And that would be your couplet. Now, again, this is weak rotation at 11,000 feet in the air. So this is not anything concerning, but something to watch and just something to just be aware of in the event that that rotation did intensify. But the environment there is not conducive for tornadoes. So, woo! I would be shocked to see that intensify. I wanted to check in on this storm near Orangeburg. Still a stronger one. Could easily be producing those 60-mile-per-hour winds. The storm near Ridgeland, same kind of deal. And again, those cameras on the left-hand side are in the general vicinity of a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings that we have on the map right now. Nice outflow boundary starting to show up here on radar associated with this storm. And that is our only severe thunderstorm in the entire state of North Carolina, by the way. That's for Brunswick and Columbus counties. Not far from Wilmington. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly show the large amount of flash flood warnings on the map. So I'm pushing. Well, the overlay is already doing it, actually. So we're showing at the bottom of your screen, it's going to be going through like all of the warnings that we have active on the map right now. So you're seeing a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. We do, in fact, have 11 severe thunderstorm warnings in place around the map right now. We did just get a couple of new ones out in Arizona. These are more or less just continuations of what we had before. I can go. I can go ahead and show a couple of other frames here in a second. Yeah. So just a couple of continuations on these severe thunderstorm warnings out here in the southern Arizona region. There's back in time and forward in time. So the general Tucson area starting to get taken a beating, at least a little bit, with this stronger storm that is rolling through. 60-mile-per-hour winds possible with this guy. But generally, nothing crazy going on with any of these storms in the Arizona area or anywhere in the United States right now. Tonight is a very chill night. Like I said, we're not going to be live for a ton of time. I'll maybe stay live for a couple of hours, and then we'll see if I can get some more work done this evening before bed. But either way, still worth checking in on all of the storms that are active, at least around the country. Our storms near Great Falls, again, not visible via radar, but 60-mile-per-hour winds still in place. And again, they get these types of storms all the time where they're very, very elevated. They just produce those strong downbursting winds. Very, very common. Very, very, very common out here in Montana. I'm just going to continue to cycle through all of these storms over and over again here, really. Looks like our storm to the west of Wilmington is perhaps weakening just a little bit. I did get a new flash flood warning just put in place in Arizona. All right, and the general Orangeburg area still looking interesting. I will say that traffic camera back in Arkansas is continuing to intrigue me. It's not far from this storm. And again, that camera, I think it's on. I think it's frozen also. Yeah, it was frozen there for a minute. It's on the bridge. I think it's on this bridge. Let me check on this. Where even is that camera? Yeah, that camera at the top of your screen. Yeah, it's on that bridge. It's on this bridge right here. So it's looking, I just don't know what direction it's looking. I'm assuming it's got to be looking east, which is kind of the wrong direction. See if I can maybe find a better one here. See what this one. This one's kind of a cool view. I'll replace camera one. Here's a new camera on 82 westbound. So that one's looking off at the storm that's out here near El Dorado. This one over here. So this camera is somewhere along this area and it's looking out west. So that's a new one we're seeing here with this stronger storm out near El Dorado. So some cool cameras. We can just keep an eye on and make sure that nothing crazy happens. We did get another severe thunderstorm warning issued here in Arizona. You're going to see this one is going to show up on your map right here. So there's that new one. And again, this one is including Pima County, which is a very large county here in southern Arizona. So a handful of these severe thunderstorm warnings are within Pima County. Weather Wisdom, I see you in the chat. Good to see you. I'm doing great. How are you doing? I think we might get a new severe thunderstorm warning for these storms out here. Not terribly long from now, south of Safford. Electric tornado storms, weather in the chat. Good to see you as well. Haven't seen either of you guys in a little while. We did get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Montana. So this one is going to be for more of these elevated thunderstorms that are going on out here in Montana. This one is going to include Cascade, Chateau, and Judith Basin counties here in Montana. That's what we're looking at here. When you go up in the tilt angles a little bit, you can see get a little bit of a better look at these storms, producing some gusty winds. Again, very common to have these smaller elevated thunderstorms that produce some strong winds in Montana. We do have a stronger storm now in place to the southwest of Savannah, Georgia, near Hinesville and Watherville and Richmond Hill as well. So that one's tagged with 60-mile-per-hour winds. Is definitely producing some stronger winds in there, possibly a little bit of rotation as well. So that's interesting. So that's something to watch in case we maybe get some type of a tornadic threat with that one. How are you doing? I uploaded my forecast video yesterday. Also, your website is cool. Thank you very much. Our website is awesome. I am really, really happy with how it's come out. Our web designer has done such an incredible job with it. That might be clear air and contamination. Yes, most likely it is. But definitely seeing some sort of inflow here. And the notching suggests that there's a little bit of inflow here as well. Whether it's tornadic in nature or not is a separate issue, and I don't think it is. But something worth keeping an eye on at the very least. Let me look at the storm near Prescott. Prescott where? Yeah, no, I'm not expecting any type of a tornadic threat with this. But again, I wouldn't entirely rule it out. What are we? We're looking for Prescott out here in Arizona. Okay, I'll find it. Take a look-see. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, a stronger storm out here. Is this a new severe thunderstorm warning, or has this one been here for a little while? Okay, it's pretty new. Interesting. So a stronger severe thunderstorm out here, producing those 60-mile-per-hour winds. Areas like Peoples Valley, Wagoner, Kirkland Junction as well. You can kind of watch this one fire off here. As it has surged on out to the west just a little bit. Yeah, there is a considerable flash flood warning in that area. We do have a handful of considerable flash flood warnings out here in Arizona. We did just get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning in Florida, it appears. I think that's what that was. Perhaps this one was upgraded to a considerable. Or something like that. That's what that sound was, I believe. That orange is, I believe, a considerable. Am I ever going to make memberships? Yes, we are going to get those set up eventually. Hopefully sooner than later. Yeah, it was upgraded to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning out here for 2-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to take a look at that hail core here and well, it's nothing crazy, but it's there. I don't know if I would say 2-inch hail. Although, actually, never mind. This definitely is worthy of a considerable for 2-inch hail. So what we're looking at here is a decently sheared updraft. So a nice tilted updraft here. Your magenta is coming up at an angle. And I didn't realize the magnitude we were looking at here is we are actually seeing those 50 dBz values being lofted all the way almost to the tropopause. These are getting lofted like 50,000 feet in the air, and we have those 60 dBz magenta values getting close to 40,000 feet in the air here. So this is definitely a stronger thunderstorm here that could easily be producing up to 2-inch hail. So good shout there by the local WFO. So definitely a stronger severe storm out here to the west of Fort Lauderdale, northwest of Miami. And this is going to include Broward, Collier, and Palm Beach counties here in Florida. Oh, wow.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Okay, we just got a tornado warning in Georgia for that storm we were looking at. So a tornado warning has been put in place on this storm. So we do, yeah, okay. And I see why. We definitely have some rotation that's happened here. So this is not far from Savannah. Not terribly far. You see here's Savannah, Georgia, where you're down to the southwest. And definitely a stronger storm. You're going to notice that we do have some pretty solid looking stuff going on here in terms of the NROT values. Now, there's a little bit of contaminated data coming into the radar here, but we're most certainly looking at a strong couplet in place right here over Walterville. So definitely a stronger storm out here. So we're going to stay with this one very, very closely here. I am going to go ahead and try to find out if I can find a camera out here. So camera number 3, which I'm going to go ahead and push to slot 1 here. The camera you're now seeing in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that is not far from this at all. It's like out in Midway. There's not really anything out here that I can get. Georgia has very, very few video cameras. Okay, this is an interesting shot here. So this is a in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. This one is like right where this rotation is. But it's a picture camera, so it only updates with a photo every few minutes. Definitely really strong looking rotation though. Out near Walterville. So we definitely have a worthy tornado warning going on out here near Walterville. And I know it says it's Hinesville, Georgia, but this one's literally in like downtown Walterville. It's right in Walterville, this camera that you're looking at in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get anything else that really gives us a decent view on this storm. Unfortunately, Georgia doesn't have any video cameras that we can tap into, really. So that's unfortunate, but regardless, we do still have this tornado warning. Even if we can't get a visual on it, that doesn't mean you should take it less seriously if you're in its path. If you are out there in areas like Walterville, out towards Midway or Riceboro in Georgia here, this is for Liberty County. You definitely need to make sure you're getting yourself to a basement as quickly as possible, or putting yourself in the interior-most room of a sturdy structure. Maybe a bathroom, get in the bathtub, put a mattress over your head. Do as much as you can, get away from windows. Do as much as you can to put as many layers between you and the storm as possible. So as of 4 minutes ago, we have this tornado warning that is in place. Yeah. So tornado warning in place. Again, we're looking at Waltherville, Liberty County, Georgia. If you're in the path of this storm, you definitely need to make sure you are in a basement or in some sort of a sturdy structure, storm shelter. Um, if you're in a vehicle, don't try to outrun this thing. I will say it's not exactly moving fast. Yeah, a little bit of an unexpected one here. As we saw that rotation just kind of artificially develop here. Now, it is a little bit weaker on the latest scan, but this is only at 4,500 feet in the air that we're looking at here. So this is still a threatening situation where a tornado could be produced at any point. So if you are in the path of this storm, you got to be taking this one seriously. And again, this is part of a larger severe thunderstorm that is including Bryan, Chatham, Liberty Long, and Tatnall counties, all out here in Georgia, a very, very large area to the southwest of Savannah. And that whole storm could be bringing up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, plus the threat for a tornado here. But it has definitely been downtrending on the latest couple of scans. So I don't imagine this warning will be continued for its entire life cycle, but this thing could still be producing a tornado at this point. So if you are in this polygon, you need to be taking it very seriously. But it does look like the cell is weakening in terms of the rotation anyway. What you're going to notice here is some of these really, really bright reds and greens starting to come together here near Allenhurst and Walterville. And this was a few minutes ago. And what you'll notice over the next few scans here, and now this is up to date, that rotation has broadened out a little bit. And it also has weakened a little bit. So in general, a less concerning situation here in Georgia. Kathy saying, I am scared. Well, if you're in this tornado warning polygon, definitely make sure that you're taking it seriously. But hopefully it'll provide a little comfort knowing that the cell has definitely weakened over the last 2 radar scans. But it still could produce a tornado at any point. So if you're in that cell or in that polygon here in Liberty, Georgia, definitely make sure that you are taking it very seriously. And again, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, this is a camera that will update periodically, literally in Walterville. And what you'll notice right now, I'm going to go ahead and full screen this for just a second. What you're going to see with this camera is they're just getting absolutely pounded with rain. Tons and tons of rain coming down in this area. It almost looks like possibly a little bit of flash flooding going on. So a stronger storm down here for sure, tornado or not. But that rotation has continued to broaden out. And it doesn't look particularly tornadic to me as of right this minute. You'll notice these NROT values, all your greens have fallen out of here. So you just have the blues. See, you had all these greens coming in here. You had that tornado warning, and it looks like it has really fallen off. You're in Hinesville. Okay, if you're in Hinesville, you should be okay. Yeah, if you're in Hinesville, you should be okay. This is still a stronger thunderstorm in general. So I wouldn't drive around if you're in Hinesville. I would wait for this one to pass, but in general, I think you'll be okay. But we're going to stay with this one. Make sure that you stay safe. I'm going to check in really quickly on the storm down in Florida for Broward, Collier, and Palm Beach counties. This one is producing up to 2-inch hail out here. We were looking at that hail core a little while ago. It is still definitely there, but doesn't look quite as impressive. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that considerable get downgraded here over the next 5 minutes or so. Although I will say that warning only has 9 minutes remaining, so they may just go ahead and ride it out. Yeah, out here south of Hinesville, still looking at this storm that is tornado warned for the time being. But you'll notice that this rotation has dramatically downtrended here over the last couple of scans. You don't hear thunder? Yeah, there is some lightning with this storm, not a ton. You're going to see some of these lightning bolts starting to show up here on my map. So again, still a tornado warning in place for Liberty County, Georgia. This is south of Hinesville, west of Midway, and kind of including areas like Allenhurst and Walterville. Yeah, definitely continuing to downtrend here. Rotation is still present. It's just not very impressive. It's not something that I'm looking at and I'm like, man, this one looks like it's going to put down a tornado. It definitely was there a little while ago, but yeah. Again, the storm is still tornado warned, but I just don't think it's going to produce a tornado. We're going to see on the next scan here if it's going to continue to downtrend or if it maybe will start to recycle an uptrend. We should get that scan in just about 10 seconds. Watch all these velocities update here in just a second. Okay, about another 10 seconds. I lied. Or no, maybe it did update. I think it did update. Yeah, it did. Okay. It just didn't really change much at all over this latest scan here. I'm not seeing any type of indication that we would have a tornado on the ground at this moment. But obviously, it is possible. So if you are in this polygon, again, you need to be taking it seriously. Get to a basement, sturdy structure, interior most room, get away from windows. Do as much as you can to put layers between you and the tornado. But in general, not expecting anything insane with this one. It looks like that rotation is dramatically weakened. I definitely wouldn't rule out the possibility that we had a spin-up tornado kind of right over Walterville. Just generally in that area. I would not rule that out by any stretch. This is just a complete mesoscale accident here. You just had all these storms firing off in the same space and they collided together. This is very, very common. This happens a lot. You can't predict these types of events, unfortunately. You just have to be able to react to them and track them. That's why it's important that we go live on days like today. Because a lot of folks would not have, like, I guarantee you the folks that are out here in Hinesville, Midway, and Walterville probably had no idea that there was even the possibility that they could have a tornado warning. And there we go. That tornado warning has been lifted. So no tornado warning on the map anymore, as that rotation has dramatically broadened out. We're going to keep tabs on it. Our considerable severe thunderstorm warning down in Florida for Broward, Collier, and Palm Beach counties has 4 minutes remaining. It doesn't look as strong as it did before. So it may get a new severe thunderstorm warning not long from now. But it is still tagged for large hail here. We got 2-inch hail on the storm in Florida right now. Again, this is Broward, Collier, and Palm Beach counties to the west of Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning put in place in Arizona here. And that one's going to be to the east of Phoenix, out near Tortilla Flat. This one's going to be tagged with 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. And again, we are looking at a lot of flash flood warnings in place in Arizona, and that's going to be the trend for the rest of the day today. We're definitely going to be seeing those flash flood warnings continue. We might see more of them out in Arizona. It looks like we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7, I think, flash flood warnings active right now in the state of Arizona. 3 of them being considerable flash flood warnings. Maybe 8. I guess I could just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, it looks like we do actually have 8 flash flood warnings active. And again, that's just in the great state of Arizona. Out in Montana, still a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in place, bringing some of these gusty winds with these elevated thunderstorms. 60-mile-per-hour winds possible with these. And then in Arkansas near Ashley, or in Ashley County, I should say, this severe thunderstorm warning is going to be allowed to expire in just a minute here. It's possible that we see a new severe thunderstorm warning out here in the Mississippi Delta as this cluster of storms crosses into Louisiana and then into Mississippi towards Rolling Fork and eventually towards the greater Jackson area. It's possible that we see a severe thunderstorm warning put in place, but in general, just tons of scattered thunderstorms all throughout Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. I can turn on lightning here. You'll notice a lot of these storms are electrically active. So tons of action going on around the South right now, all throughout the deep South. And then our considerable severe thunderstorm warning is going to be allowed to expire. They have just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning on this storm for golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So that is kind of in alignment with what I was talking about a minute ago. This original considerable severe thunderstorm warning has 2 minutes remaining on it. I assume they're just going to let it expire naturally here. Not a lot of lightning going on with this storm, but definitely a somewhat stronger storm. Just received a severe thunderstorm warning in Chandler a few moments ago. Which one is that? Is that the one in Arizona, possibly? Chandler. In Gilbert, Arizona. Let's see. Yeah, so that would be all of these guys down here. A lot of these storms are going to continue to pose severe weather threats, especially for flash flooding, but definitely those damaging winds possible. Maybe some small hail with some of these localized, stronger updrafts. You will see, if I turn on my echo tops here, what you're going to notice is that some of these storms are bubbling up pretty tall, where you're seeing those yellows, and especially where you're seeing oranges. Those are your strongest updrafts and your most towering cumulus clouds. Those are the types of areas where you could be seeing a little bit of small hail. Looks like a handful of these severe thunderstorm warnings are tagged with up to 1-inch hail. especially this one that is not far from Chandler. This one's out here for areas like south of Price and Oracle Junction. And then the one in Tortilla Flat could produce some smaller hail as well. It wouldn't shock me to see a new severe thunderstorm warning get put on these ones near Prescott. They were formerly severe thunderstorm warned. All right, checking in on the Carolinas, literally every single severe thunderstorm warning that was in the Carolinas, and we had like 5 or 6 of them not long ago, like a half hour ago. All of them have been lifted. So we are looking at still general thunderstorms out in the Carolinas, and a handful of them are slightly stronger. You're going to notice a lot of these are electrically active as well, as we do just have tons of storms all the way from Raleigh back down through Columbia, Augusta, even down into Savannah, where we just had a tornado warning not long ago. And then in the Atlanta metro as well, some thunderstorms over there producing some lightning. We just had a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings get lifted, it looked like. We are down to just one in Florida, so this one was formerly a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. I'm not expecting this storm to do much of anything crazy from here. It's going to begin to dissipate. Still could be producing some smaller hail, maybe even medium-sized hail, up to ping pong ball size. But again, as every minute ticks on, this storm will be producing smaller and smaller hail on average anyway. But it does have 43 minutes remaining, on a severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball sized hail. And I think that that hail size will just get downgraded periodically. But most concerning right now is we do have 20 flash flood warnings on the map. And again, in Georgia for Bryan, Chatham, Liberty, Long, and Tatnall counties, we are still looking at a stronger thunderstorm out here that did have rotation that managed to tighten up earlier and produced a tornado warning. Of course, we don't have a tornado warning anywhere on the map right now, and I don't think that we need one. I also don't think that we will need one at any point, but it is definitely possible that this area of this storm continues to recycle as it moves very slowly to the south towards areas like Townsend here in Georgia. It would not blow my mind to see this recycle and have another tornado warning put on it, but in general, not expecting anything with it. I'm going to make my way all the way up to the UP of Michigan here and see if we do have any storms that have been trying to fire off over the lake. It actually looks like maybe we do. So any storms that can fire off over Lake Superior here and bring themselves south. It looks like we have a couple of little cumulus bubbles. If any storms can fire off and come south, they could pose a little bit of a tornado risk and the risk for some larger hail. To be determined if any storms can actually survive in this environment, though. A lot of that energy has been expended by these storms that are now kind of completely fallen apart here. Just general stratiform precipitation now, but all of these came from that area and have significantly weakened. We do have a waterspout possible tag. Thank you, Logan, for pointing that out. This one's going to be out here off the coast of Wilmington, all the way from Southport, Carolina Beach, up through Surf City here. And this is, again, in North Carolina. And then we also have another special marine warning that is in place off the coast of Savannah, but this one does not have a waterspout possible tag, which is good. And then we have one more in place off of the coast of Tampa. And that one is not tagged with waterspouts either, but it is tagged with some stronger gusty winds, possibly up to 40 miles per hour, which can be dangerous for watercraft that may be out over the water. There's also some lightning going on with this storm, so if you are out there, definitely consider turning around and not being out there. Yeah, that rotation has completely fallen apart and dissipated here near Riceboro. But again, it would not shock me like to see it recycle and become tornadic again. All right. So if you are in the path of this storm, and you'll notice that it's kind of not really moving much, it's just kind of creeping slowly to the south. So if you're in areas like South Newport or Townsend here, not terribly far from Savannah, we're maybe an hour or something to the south, if not even really, to the south of Savannah, Georgia. If you are in this area, definitely make sure that you're paying attention for this storm to potentially spin up another tornado risk, but in general, not really worried about it at all. Yeah, all of these storms as they come out over the water could produce, in theory, a water spout. I will say there's not really any rotation present with these, and I can just switch to NROT, and you'll notice that there's just not really any rotation in these storms at all. But it doesn't take a lot to have some localized low pressure at the surface of the water, combined with the friction of the winds blowing over the ocean to cause a little bit of counterclockwise rotation that extends up towards your cloud, and as a result, you have that water spout. So a water spout is not a tornado, but it's very similar to a tornado. Water spouts and land spouts originate at the surface and then connect to the cloud base. Out near Raleigh, still a lot of general thunderstorms going on. You're going to see some scattered lightning with these, really with all of these storms out here, all the way from Fayetteville through Sanford, Raleigh, Durham, and Rocky Mount. In South Carolina, things are a little bit more electrically active, especially with the storms south of Columbia near Orangeburg. Near Greenville, also maybe a little bit of lightning in there. In the greater Atlanta area and back into eastern Alabama, some lightning present as well with some of those storms. Definitely a stronger storm here out over the water. Um, and this is not far off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia, really, especially South Carolina more so, as that border hypothetically would continue like this. But this storm out here off the coast of South Carolina, something to pay attention to if you happen to be out on the water watching my broadcast for whatever reason. A lot of lightning with this one, so those storms can be pretty dangerous out there in open water. Even it doesn't take a very strong storm for them to be dangerous. Again, we do still have a ton of flash flood warnings in place. We are looking at 20 of them, 3 of those being considerable flash flood warnings. At the bottom of your screen, I am going to go ahead and cycle through the Storm Prediction Center, the day one outlook. So you can see where some of those risk areas are for the rest of the evening here. Again, this is not going to be a particularly long broadcast. We're probably going to stay on air until maybe 8 p.m. Central Time or so, as the general risk for this evening is very, very, very limited. We did get a new severe thunderstorm warning for Petroleum County in Montana. So this is just south of our original severe thunderstorm warning for Garfield, Petroleum, Phillips, and Valley County. So all of this is kind of in central Montana here, where we just have a bunch of elevated thunderstorms producing some gustier winds at the surface. So a lot of dry thunderstorm action like they tend to get out here in Montana all the time. Essentially what happens is that these storms are so elevated above the surface that rain, as it falls to the surface, it evaporates. And so nothing actually hits the surface. But when these storms dissipate, all that mass comes crashing down to the surface, and it has to spread off in all directions, like we talk about all the time with these downbursts. And so that would be a dry microburst, is what they refer to those as. So they severe thunderstorm warn these all the time for that reason. In Montana, as it happens a lot up there. In Arizona, still looking at a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. Some of these storms are producing a little bit of lightning too, especially back up near Prescott. So tons of thunderstorms going on in Arizona, and that's largely what's causing our train of flash flood warnings in both southern and central Arizona, where we have general and considerable flash flood warnings in place. In fact, a total of 8 of them active in the state of Arizona right now. So that is like 35% or something like that of our flash flood warnings that are on the map are in Arizona right now. There is one for Lubbock, Texas, as there have been a lot of general thunderstorms in Texas today. And again, these are just your very common air mass thunderstorms where the sun heats up the surface, and as a result, some of that air begins to rise, and eventually it is able to condense, and you get those air mass pulse thunderstorms that don't really move much. They just kind of fire off, and then eventually they collapse, producing some gustier winds. Sometimes they'll produce small hail, but none of them typically reach significant severe thresholds or anything like that. Out in the greater Dallas region here, tons of storms out there as well. There is a flash flood warning in place here as well for Delta, Hopkins, and Hunt counties. And then back down towards areas like Houston, also San Antonio and Austin. Some general pop-up storms down there as well. Some of those producing a little bit of lightning, nothing crazy. And again, this is really just the standard of summer in the South. Yeah, I mean, just tons of storms all over the place. I mean, Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, even back into Kentucky. It looks like almost stretching as far north as Indiana. Yeah, a couple of isolated storms showing up in Indiana. Maybe a few isolated storms in Missouri or Illinois. Doesn't look like it. Maybe a couple of pop-up storms out here in southern Missouri. In general, this is mostly going to be out in the southeast, where we do have a lot more moisture available to us, plus a lot of heating going on in the summer. You just see so many storms firing off all over the place. The Carolinas are definitely my number one concern for anything hitting severe thresholds. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning here in South Carolina, by the way, for Lawrence, Spartanburg, and Union counties. This one is not far from Greenville. It's going to include areas like Honore, Woodruff, Moore, Pauline, Gray Court, even towards Union and Jonesville. So a larger severe thunderstorm warning in place out here for 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some small hail with that as well. Yeah, a lot of stronger storms still in place in South Carolina near Orangeburg. And I'm still watching this storm down here in case it does try to pull a fast one on us and reorganize itself. But it looks like that's mostly going to be outside of the realm of possibility as it just continues to weaken. So definitely not anything that is particularly concerning, but just something to pay attention to. We are going to have a forecast video coming out Tuesday morning. That is going to take you through everything that you need to know with the severe weather this coming week. And we'll have another forecast video Friday morning as well to deal with everything that's coming up. So make sure that you like and subscribe and turn notifications on so that you get notified when that video drops, and you can make sure that you stay weather aware. We did get another one in North Carolina for the Raleigh area. I believe. Yeah, this one just showed up as well. So this is for Raleigh, Rollsville, Wake Forest, Nightdale, Bunn, Zebulon, Cary, Garner, Apex, Bethesda. Just a stronger thunderstorm out here producing some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, and a little bit of lightning as well. And this one's kind of just rolling due south here. So going to continue off in this direction. That's not very south. Let's try again. Can I not draw like a straight arrow? That's a little better. If we look at the terminal radar, it shows rotation on Wilmington. Which terminal radar? I don't think there is a terminal radar over here. I'm not seeing any rotation here at the low levels, though, as we are pretty close to the radar unit. Quick question, try again. Can there be a wall cloud without indication of rotation on the radar and it's still rotating? Okay, you deleted your message. I don't have a terminal radar out of Jacksonville. I'm not seeing anything indicative of any type of crazy rotation out here in the Wilmington area at all. Just a stronger Boeing segment. I think what Logan was about to try and ask, it looks like he rescinded his message. I think he was about to ask if you can have a wall cloud that is rotating. Okay, here you go. Can a wall cloud happen without indication of rotation on radar and still have rotation? Absolutely, yeah. So essentially, what you have to understand about the radar unit is that it's pretty limited. So like if here's your radar, right? This is a really bad, really awesome drawing. So here's your radar, your little golf ball on a pedestal, right? And if your cloud is over here, right? The radar beam isn't going to be seeing the lowest level of the cloud, right? It's going to shoot off at different tilt angles, higher and higher into the air. But the lowest tilt angle is not going to catch what's going on at the lowest levels here. So what you could have is a little bit of a lowering where you have a wall cloud that is rotating, but that rotation cannot be shown up on radar because the lowest tilt angle isn't able to see it. So where you might have, I'll draw in yellow, you might have a lot of really good rotation here, and you might have a wall cloud, but that rotation really begins to diminish as you get to the mid levels. And so what you might see at the mid levels with what the radar sees is going to be pretty much nothing. So it's something that you have to consider. Now, generally, any type of tornadic thunderstorm is going to have decent mid-level rotation, but that's not always the case. You can get tornadoes without mid-level rotation. Now, they might not be long-lived, they might not be strong or violent, but you can still get damaging tornadoes without strong mid-level rotation, especially if you have some mesoscale magic going on with boundary interactions and things going on at the surface. So you have to pay attention to those things. And again, that's just another reason it's really important to understand the limitations of the radar and how our 88D NexRad radars actually work. Otherwise, you can't actually do proper radar analysis. The local radar here in Live Oak, Florida is always wrong. Well, that's not exactly possible. It's very rare for the radar to give you inaccurate data. It happens occasionally, but not at a large scale. But what the radar is telling you is where is it receiving energy back. So if the radar beam is being shot, whoops, I'm still using blue. If the radar beam is being shot off in some direction and it contacts a raindrop here, it's going to send some amount of energy back to the radar unit. Now, the radar unit doesn't know what it hit. It just knows how much energy came back and roughly how far away that energy came from based on how long it took to get back to the radar. So essentially, the radar, it can't really give you like quote unquote wrong data. But you might be looking at the radar and be like, oh, this storm right here is on the radar, so it must be raining there. But that's not always the case, because what you might have is a situation where you have a cloud and here's the surface down here. And as some of that rain is falling down, it's just evaporating. If you have very, very elevated storms, for example. If you lack that surface moisture a lot of the time, you can have a lot of that virga, is what we call it in meteorology, where you have rain that's falling out of the cloud, but it doesn't actually make it to the surface. Well, it says it's raining and it's sunny or opposite. Yeah, I mean, you just got to you have to know how to interpret the radar, because the radar itself isn't wrong. It's just you have there's a lot of limitations with our radars. And so it is very important to know those limitations in order to properly analyze a radar and draw good quality conclusions from it. Now, keeping in mind, the radar can be wrong at times, like especially when it comes to velocity and things like that. My brother's meteorologist was out driving, not even, it wasn't uh, seen a wall cloud yesterday with rotation. Yeah, a lot of times folks will think they see rotation. I'm not saying he didn't see rotation, by the way. He definitely might have seen rotation. But a lot of times folks will think they're looking at rotation, but really they're just looking at scud. It's pretty common. It happens all the time. National Weather Service offices and local media outlets will get thousands of reports every year of like, oh, I think I see a tornado, or I think I see a wall cloud, and it's just scud, or some sort of general cloud formation with no identifiable rotation, excuse me. But it wasn't on radar, but thankfully there was no tornado. Yeah. No, if he was actually looking at rotation and it wasn't on radar, again, it could just be that rotation was limited to the low levels, and your radar was not able to capture those lowest levels. Whoa. Just had a lot of sound shot right into my ears unexpectedly. Anyway, still have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings on the map. Total of 9, matter of fact. 2 of them in the Carolinas, 1 per Carolina. For South Carolina, we're looking at Lawrence, Spartanburg, and Union counties is out here south of Spartanburg and southeast of Greenville. And then North Carolina, we're looking at Durham, Franklin, Johnson, Nash, and Wake Forest counties. This is the greater Raleigh area, essentially. Wake County and Wilson counties, excuse me, not Wake Forest, counties, including the city of Wake Forest. And then in Montana, we had a couple we looked at earlier. In Arizona, we have a handful going on, although a lot of these storms have begun to weaken just a little bit. And then finally, in Florida, we looked at that one quite extensively as well. A stronger storm down there that is weakening west of Fort Lauderdale. Any tornado warnings today? Yes, we did actually have one in Georgia here, not too far south of Savannah, down near Hinesville, specifically Walterville, where this storm did have and still has very, very, very weak and broad rotation near Riceboro, but nothing crazy. But we did have a little bit of a mesoscale accident where a handful of storms fired off in the same environment and collided, and as a result, you got some artificial spin forced into those storms. West of Hinesville. Yeah, perhaps a little bit of rotation near Gum Branch. It's most likely not going to become tornadic, but it is something to pay attention to. I'll keep a close eye on it. Yeah, most likely we're not going to be seeing any tornadoes from this storm out here in Georgia, as it is definitely weakening. We'll try to stay with this one here near Gum Branch. There is a little bit of rotation for sure. It's not, again, I'm not sitting here worried about it, but we'll keep a close eye on it. We'll see what the next velocity scan looks like here in about 5 seconds when we get it. There it is. Yeah, I mean, it's not screaming at me by any stretch. There's definitely a little bit of broad and weak rotation there to the west of Hinesville near Gum Branch. And this is at around 4,600 feet. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. It's just not very impressive. But again, I'm going to continue to stick on with it for a little while here. We'll keep a close eye on it. In the meantime, I'm going to check in on our storms in Montana for Petroleum, Garfield, Phillips, and Valley counties. Again, we can't really see much of anything on radar here, as these are pretty elevated storms just producing those dry microburst type events. They get them out here in Montana all the time. Down in Arizona for Pima and Pinal counties, that we are still looking at a couple of generally stronger thunderstorms out here. Could be producing some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, maybe some small hail with these. Nothing particularly concerning by any stretch. Is he going to happen in McIntosh County? What do you mean? And which state? All right, down in Florida, still looking at the storm west of Fort Lauderdale. This one definitely beginning to fall apart, even more so now than it was before. So still going to keep an eye on it, but not anything concerning here. I'm not really seeing much of a hail threat. This is more of a wind threat at this point. It is tagged for golf ball sized hail. I would be pretty surprised to see it putting down hail that could actually do any damage, as these updrafts have significantly collapsed here. McIntosh County, Georgia. Oh boy, I don't know which one that is. Ah, okay. So in McIntosh County, Georgia, probably not. I mean, this area of very weak rotation is maybe headed towards like South Newport, just on the north side of your county. Yeah, I mean, in theory, it's possible that out near South Newport in McIntosh County, this storm heads that direction. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but again, you could still get a stronger storm in your county, and you probably will get at least some sort of a thunderstorm in McIntosh County. Yeah, a lot of these storms are beginning to weaken. And again, the severe weather risk this evening is very, very minimal. That's why we're just going to go live for a couple hours here tonight. We probably won't even be live that much longer. There's not a whole lot to cover, and I don't want anyone to see me live and be like, I should worry about something when really there's not a lot going on. I don't want to be misleading. In Gilbert and Chandler, Arizona, yeah, things are definitely going to be calming down. You will notice I can pull some frames back and we can take a little bit of a better look at this. But I'm going to go back in time. You're going to notice one, as the further back we go, there were more severe thunderstorm warnings on the map. Give me a minute as my frames continue to load out here. There we go. But as we go forward in time, these storms will, you're going to watch them pretty significantly weaken. Now, I will say, like the outflow from the storm near Oracle Junction, for example, as it collapsed, initiated new storms to fire off to its south and become a little bit stronger. So that is the main area of concern right now, where you have numerous other thunderstorms beginning to fire off in southern Arizona. But I'm not really that worried about anything in Arizona in general. Back up near Prescott, though, still looking at some general thunderstorms there as well, but they're all continuing off to the west. And again, I'm not worried about really any of these being particularly dangerous in any type of way. What kind of tornado? We have not had any tornadoes tonight. We did have one tornado warning earlier, but we have not had any tornadoes. And again, we do have 21 flash flood warnings on the map right now. A lot of those flash flood warnings are in the state of Arizona here. You can see like 8 of them on your map right now. Actually, 9. So 9 of them in Arizona. We are just about to hit 100 likes on the broadcast, so I do really appreciate that. Especially for such a small night. I mean, I really appreciate that. No real severe weather risk going on at all. So, like, no, like, significant severe weather risk, I should say. Definitely a severe weather risk. Especially really just for wind damage out in the Carolinas. More so than anything else, and southern Arizona. Raleigh right now starting to get slammed by this stronger storm that is producing a little bit of lightning, not a ton. It's actually become increasingly less electrically active as it's neared Raleigh here. Out in Wilmington, this storm is still tagged for waterspout possible as it moves off the coast, but I'm not really seeing anything that would convince me that we could get a waterspout anywhere except over here off the coast of Wrightsville Beach. That's the only area that I could see any type of waterspout development makes sense. And then we still have a severe thunderstorm warning out not far from Greenville here, south of Spartanburg. I'm in Apex, southwest of Raleigh. How bad will it be here? You'll be okay. You'll get some gusty winds and maybe a little bit of rain, but nothing crazy. What you'll notice is that here's where you're at. And these storms are kind of moving off in this direction and widely going to miss you. Like out near Raleigh right now, these storms are basically right over downtown, bringing some stronger winds to the area, especially just east of town, out of Raleigh as well. But out in Apex, you should be okay. You won't even really have much lightning. You're just going to have some stronger gusty winds, nothing crazy, and a little bit of rain, but you'll be okay. I know you are in this severe thunderstorm warning, but you'll be okay. You're right on the edge of it, and these storms are not particularly strong where you're at anyway. You'll notice these stronger winds associated with this storm, where you see brighter colors, are mostly going to be east of Raleigh, whereas you are west of Raleigh. Thanks, Will. I'll dedicate my Bojangles Chicken Supremes to you. I'll thank you very much. You know, I've never even had Bojangles. Had Popeye's chicken sandwich for lunch, hit the spot. Yeah, there you go. I've never been a huge Popeyes fan. Like, I don't know. I don't mind it. Like, I don't dislike it, but I've just never been a big fan. Chukasoba saying, heading out, but dude, you got to try Bojangles if you get a chance. It's terrible in the best way. Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard amazingly horrible things, but I'm just not there aren't any near me. I've never been somewhere where there's a Bojangles before, as far as I can recall anyway. All right, let's check in on Arizona again. And again, we're probably going to end the broadcast here in just about 10 minutes. I know it's a short one tonight, but I just wanted to make sure there was some coverage in case we got a spin up tornado. And we did get a spin up tornado risk. We had a tornado warning active in Georgia. So I'm definitely glad that we decided to go ahead and broadcast tonight. Because they're mainly in the South. Yeah, well, I do live in Starkville, Mississippi. I do live in the South, but there just aren't any in the areas that I've been. There is one in Illinois, actually, in Mount Vernon, apparently. Interesting. Yeah, there's two different Bojangles in southern Illinois, not far from me, actually. There's a couple in the Memphis area, one just south of Blytheville, Arkansas. These are towns that I drive through when I go down to school. Yeah, in Mississippi, the only Bojangles are in basically South Memphis and in Jackson, Mississippi, which makes sense why I've never been to one then. And I haven't really spent much time in Alabama. I have spent some time in Alabama, just not much. I've been to Huntsville and I've been to Auburn. And I haven't had a Bojangles there, but the majority of them are out in like the Carolinas and like Virginia. Randomly, there is a location in Colorado. There's a location in Vegas. There's a few random locations in Nevada. And then one in Colorado. In Pueblo, actually. In Pueblo, Colorado. How about that? And there's one in Oklahoma City. There's a couple in random locations. There's one in Grand Rapids, Michigan. A couple in Ohio. I should not go down this rabbit hole any further, but I thought you said I live in St. Louis. I do. Well, I live in St. Louis, but I go to college in Starkville, Mississippi. So I spend 8 months of the year in Starkville, Mississippi while I'm in school, which was the last 4 years, and it'll be the next 2 years as well while I'm doing my master's. Some stronger winds for sure with a couple of these storms out here in Arizona. There's a Bojangles in a Love's outside of Fort Smith off of I-40 and nothing else on the planet compares. Mikey saying last time I had Popeyes, it was after a long chase and it was so bad. Dude, Popeyes has been always hit or miss for me. That's why I don't really ever go there because it tends to be so hit or miss. Southern Arizona, slightly below the U.S.-Mexico border, looks like a little rotation. It's like right where I'm looking. I mean, maybe. This is most likely a little bit of contaminated radar data here. Nothing that would potentially be tornadic, though. And then there was one in Ohio. Yep. Yeah, there's a couple in Pennsylvania. Someone asking about Florida. We actually don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings in Florida anymore. I can make my way all the way down to Florida, though. Bear with me as I make my way across the entire United States. There's way easier ways to do this, but I particularly tend to enjoy just clicking through all the different radar units. All right, in the greater Orlando area, nothing going on. Out near Tampa, still some scattered showers and storms. A couple of these had reached severe thresholds not terribly long ago. And then our storms out near Miami and Fort Lauderdale, still going. But these are beginning to fall apart as it is after peak daytime heating hours now in Florida. So a lot of that instability is being worked out of the atmosphere, and these storms are going to begin to collapse and weaken. Out in the Jacksonville area, some general showers out there. And then near Tallahassee and into the Florida Panhandle, a couple of pop-up storms out there, but nothing crazy, really at all. Florida is kind of spared from the storms right this moment, whereas the entire rest of the South cannot say the same. It's dark in those areas, actually. Yeah, in I think in Miami right now, the sun stays up until like 8:20 or 8:15 or something like that. But because they're closer to the equator, they get a much longer sunset and a much longer hour of dusk as well down there in Florida. So they'll tend to get that. I mean, in the summertime, I should say, especially, but they probably still have like a couple drops of light left. But those peak daylight heating hours tend to happen in the summertime around 4 to 6 p.m. And obviously, we are well past that time. Wow. I have a really beautiful photo here. I'm going to show really quickly from Timothy Kern, affiliate of Adrian Rockahan, one of our storm chasers. Why am I so zoomed in? As this is just a beautiful, beautiful shot over the raceway here. Just a really cool looking storm. You can see actually a helicopter there up in the distance as well, but you can see just a gorgeous rain shaft out here with this storm. And you can see some of these beautiful striations here just showing off that instability and some of that laminar flow that's present as that air cools with height. And you can just see the edges of this storm, just how circular it is. Really beautiful photogenic storm out here. And this is in Atlanta, I believe. So he's looking, yeah, somewhere right around Atlanta, if I remember correctly. I don't know what storm he's, I don't know where exactly they are. Yeah, honestly, I have no idea where it is, but somewhere in the greater Atlanta area, I believe. For reference, it's 8:40 Eastern time, and where I am, it still isn't sunset for another 10 minutes. Yeah, no, absolutely. Time zones are a thing. Still a stronger storm out here, not far from Spartanburg. This one's probably going to expire somewhat soon. Or actually has another 32 minutes. They've continued multiple extensions on these storms in that area. In the Raleigh area, these storms are definitely weakening a bit. Oh, I'm looking at the terminal radar, so maybe that's why I think that. Okay, I was going to say that didn't make a lot of sense. It does look like they are possibly weakening a tiny bit, but definitely some stronger winds near like Wendell, for example. So if you're in this severe thunderstorm warning, especially if you're east of Raleigh, definitely be on the lookout for some stronger gusty winds. In general, just some general thunderstorms in the entire greater Raleigh area right now. But if you're west of town near Wendell, definitely be on the lookout for some stronger winds. Well, my fast and loud cars at NASCAR turned into a fast and loud storm. How's it going, Will? Timothy, I hope they were able to get the race in. Mandy saying those storms are headed right for you. I take it you are south of Raleigh. I am in Cary, to be exact. There you go. Where's that at? See if I can find it. We actually did just get a new downstream severe thunderstorm warning for this line of storms, which is still going to include Apex, which is kind of funny. I don't know that it particularly should, but in Cary. I swear I was. Oh, Cary, you're just west of Raleigh. I see you. I'm losing my mind. I was like, I read that town name not long ago. Anyway, still some stronger storms out here. Again, especially out near Nightdale and Zabulon. Those winds are definitely a little stronger out there. Not quite as strong on the western side of town. Could still be seeing some small hail with these, though. Whoops. I mean, do that. All right, let's go to Fergus County, Montana, where we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been put in place. Again, for these dry thunderstorms, this one is not far east of Great Falls, not far southwest of Glasgow. I mean, it is kind of far, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, to be quite honest with you. But these dry thunderstorms producing these microbursts that could produce 60-mile-per-hour winds for sure. Braden, good to see you in the chat. Of course, Braden is a phenomenal member of our team here. Our director of development, of course. Braden helps us out with all sorts of things. He's been very, very helpful for us. Very grateful to have had his support early on here in development. All right, out in South Carolina, still looking at a handful of somewhat stronger storms, producing especially a lot of lightning near Orangeburg and closer to Savannah, just to the north of. I will say out in Hinesville, we did just get a flash flood warning put in place not long ago. It looks like it was just a couple minutes ago. So that one for Georgia is going to include Bryan, Liberty, and Long counties. And then we had a considerable flash flood warning put in place in Tennessee for Blount and Knox counties. So this is just the greater Knoxville area where there has been a lot of rainfall. And apparently it looks like emergency management have said, yeah, emergency management have reported a little flash flooding is already undergoing. So that's why they have it at a considerable. One of our flash flood warnings in Arizona was lifted. Now, that was the furthest east one here. That was back near Payson, I believe. Yeah. And that one was literally just lifted moments ago. So replacing one flash flood warning with another, we're still sitting at 23 flash flood warnings on the map. 3 of those are considerable flash flood warnings. 2 in Arizona, 1 in Tennessee. And then the rest of the flash flood warnings scattered throughout the entire United States. Tennessee, Arizona, Georgia, Arkansas, Alabama, Texas, Ohio, Louisiana, Mississippi, Virginia, and West Virginia. That's 11 different states having at least one flash flood warning active right now. If that doesn't tell you about the type of summertime rainfall that we tend to get in this country, I don't know what does. I mean, look at all this. Just so many thunderstorms in Mississippi and Alabama, too. And Louisiana, lots of lightning with those. Especially along the Mississippi. I mean, just a lot of lightning out here near Port Gibson, the Jackson area, out near Philadelphia. South of Shreveport, generally just so many stronger storms producing a lot of lightning, but these aren't particularly dangerous storms that could lead to like severe threshold winds or hail. Maybe you get like an isolated one of those storms is able to produce some of that severe threshold wind or hail, but nothing crazy. And again, especially back towards the Carolinas and Georgia, you can't rule out another mesoscale accident that could lead to a brief spin up tornado, as we did already have a tornado warning about an hour ago, I believe, out near Hinesville. specifically Waltersville. How we doing in Brandon, Mississippi? You're chilling. You're chilling. I forget where Brandon is. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I know where Brandon, Mississippi is. Like, I felt like it was in here, but then I didn't see it. Like, I don't think it's not along the coast. I thought it was like slightly inland, like near where Lucidale is, but I guess not. Clearly, I don't remember where it is. I'm gonna find it though. Oh, it's just Jackson. Wait, yeah, duh. I mean, okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure I know where this town is. Okay, I got you. Yeah. You got Jackson and Madison. I know so many people from the Madison area. I feel like, from being at Mississippi State, I know so many of the cities of Mississippi now just because I've met people that are from them. And I've obviously driven through a lot of them now, from storm chasing down in Dixie. Oh, how about that? Yeah, Blake put on a camera in Brandon, Mississippi, in the bottom left-hand corner. So we're stalking Braden's hometown there, just to the east of Jackson. When do I think my next chase is going to be? I don't know. I'm trying to spend as much time broadcasting as possible, which limits the amount of time that I can storm chase, like, significantly. I'm not really willing to take, like, long trips to go storm chase, so it's got to be somewhere near me. Most likely there will be a Dixie setup in the later months of the fall, or even in the early winter, that I'll be able to chase. But oh, not your hometown, just staying here for internship. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense, because I was like, I did not think you were from Brandon. I think you are from Mississippi. I know Blake's from the coast of Mississippi. I think Braden is from Mississippi. Broadcasting is more fun. Well, I love both. I love chasing. The thing about broadcasting is I do love it, but I can only be locked in this basement or like in a studio for so long, Like, I want to get out there and feel the winds too, every now and then. You got to let me out of my cage. Columbus. That's what it was. Yeah, okay. So that's why when you said, like, if you noticed, when I was looking for Brandon, the first thing that I did was I was looking up here, like, near like northern Mississippi in general, like in the Tupelo area, because obviously Columbus is down here not far from Starkville. Starkville, of course, being right next door. Because I thought you were from close to Starkville, and then you were like Brandon. I was like, Like Brandon, if I remember where that is, I felt like it was down here. It wasn't. It's closer to Jackson. It's basically just East Jackson. But yeah. Anyway, my Mississippi geography is better than it would be. But Will Bratton confirmed to be broadcasting from his parents' basement. Yeah, absolutely. I am absolutely broadcasting from my parents' basement. Yeah. I am. I mean, look, I'm 22 and I'm about to be getting my master's. It doesn't make sense for me to move out right now because I'm going back to Starkville, Mississippi in my own apartment again in, less than a month from now. So while I'm here over the summer in St. Louis, it doesn't make sense for me to move out and sign a lease for 3 months that I'm in town. But I will be in my own apartment back in Mississippi in less than a month. You get in your car and instantly get a National Weather Service alert? For what? In the Jackson area? Maybe a flash flood? Oh, yeah, it's okay. They just put a flash flood warning up for you. I see. It's like, well, what in the world would they be putting up there severe? Just a flash flood warning. Makes sense out there in Brandon. True. Bringing the setup with me. Absolutely, yeah. I'm moving the full studio to Starkville, and that's where I'll be based out of for the most part for the next 2 years. So pretty much I'm going back to Starkville for 2 years and then moving back to St. Louis. Yeah, that's correct. I will be going to Starkville. I will be going back to Starkville, doing my master's there. It'll take me 2 years or maybe less or maybe more. Probably 2 years on the dot. I'll probably graduate with my master's in May of 2028. So just under 2 years from now. And then from that point, I will move back to St. Louis, get my own place out there. Which is better, St. Louis or Starkville? They're very, 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 very different. In my pilot license, that's not in the cards for me. St. Louis and Starkville are very, very different. But I prefer St. Louis. Starkville is a beautiful, small little town. And it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy living there. But it's too small for me. I would not want to ever raise my family there, for example. And there's not very much to do outside of college there. So once I graduate college, I would never live there. But it is a very nice place to spend my time in college. I've enjoyed it a lot. Very grateful for the opportunities I've gotten there as well. In Arizona, we did get a new severe thunderstorm warning for Pima and Pinal counties. Just another downstream of these storms that we've had out here for some time. Truth nuke, yeah. Yeah, no, I love Starkville. Starkville will always have a very special place in my heart, and I definitely will visit. I don't think I could ever, settle down there and raise a family there. I would like to do that in a larger town. And St. Louis is such a great spot for me, as we did get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Petroleum, Phillips, and Valley counties here in Montana. Same thing, just these dry thunderstorms producing up to 60 mile per hour downbursts. But again, I want to live near some sort of a larger town or city, and it's got to be somewhere that's decently central to the country. Now, I could easily, if I had the money, like get a place, a secondary home, for example, maybe in like the Carolinas or in Florida or something like that, somewhere along the beach. I could definitely do that. Or even like a secondary home in like Montana or something, potentially. I don't know. I could definitely do that, if I had the money. Like, that's something I could see myself doing. But I wouldn't live in those areas. My main home needs to be somewhat central in the country so I can go storm chase. And it needs to be near a larger city. Don't come to South Carolina. We're full. Yeah, I got a lot of buddies out in South Carolina. Would the Pittsburgh area work for me? No, it would not. Pittsburgh would not work for me. It's not close enough for storm chasing. I need to be able to get to the plains, man. Like St. Louis would be fine. The Chicago area, Nashville even. Nashville's about the furthest away from the plains I would go. Minneapolis I would potentially do. Or just in Minnesota. I don't know if I could ever live like in or around the Twin Cities, but Minnesota, like somewhere in Minnesota, yeah, I could definitely do. Denver, yeah, I could definitely do Colorado. Yeah, I don't know. I could do Kansas City. I just hate Kansas City because I'm from St. Louis. Same reason I hate Chicago too. But I would consider living in the suburbs of either of those cities if I needed to. Cleveland or Cincinnati? I don't know. Cincinnati, maybe. Cleveland, probably not. Cleveland's just so far from like the plains and everything. I mean, so is Cincinnati, but Indianapolis isn't horrible either. Like, I could live in that area, perhaps. Wisconsin is a hard maybe. I don't really know, to be honest. Like, there are some things about Wisconsin that I like and some things that I don't like. I mean, the winters there are pretty brutal. And when you go to North Wisconsin, there's just like really like nothing there in northern Wisconsin. But like Madison, I could live in Madison perhaps. What about Kentucky? Yeah, I could maybe do Kentucky. If I was going to live in Kentucky, though, it would probably just be like, I would just be living in Louisville. I don't know if I would live anywhere else in Kentucky. Fargo? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. The winters are so brutal, man, in Fargo. I don't know if I could live quite that far north. It's a nice town, though. I don't know. Like, same thing with Rapid City, South Dakota. I actually liked Rapid City and like Cheyenne, Wyoming. I liked those areas a lot when I passed through them recently. I just don't think I could ever live there permanently. Lexington is too populated. Somerset's all right. Yeah. I don't know a ton about Kentucky, I will say. Still really seeing some stronger winds out here, by the way. South of Wendell. And this is southeast of Raleigh. So if you're in that area, definitely be on the lookout for some stronger winds. Yeah, Omaha, maybe. Or like Omaha, Lincoln, even like North Platte. Like maybe I could live out there. You live near Somerset? That's cool. Somerset is a nice town. It's like not super, super enormous. Lexington is obviously very densely populated. Bowling Green is okay as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know a ton about Kentucky, but I really love St. Louis. Like, it is really such an ideal location for me because I can get anywhere I need to go easily. There's a good international airport. I can even fly like directly overseas from St. Louis, even though it's in the middle of the United States. I'm in Central Time Zone, which in my opinion is just the best time zone to be in the United States if you're doing anything. Like if you're doing content creation the way that I am, you either want to probably be in like Eastern or Central. Do I recommend the GR2 purchase for enthusiasts doing amateur broadcasting? If you're an enthusiast doing amateur broadcasting, I probably would not recommend using GR2. I would recommend just paying a monthly subscription to some program that you like. If you want to do more detailed broadcasting or more detailed analysis versus just weather enthusiast amateur broadcasting, 100% you got to have this app. GR2 is really the cream of the crop for good radar analysis as of right this second. But there might be programs coming out soon that will change that. Subtle foreshadowing. I've never been to St. Louis, just Kansas City for NASCAR, and I absolutely loved it. The food was amazing. Yeah, Kansas City does have good food. And the barbecue is overrated, but it is good. It's just overrated. Like it can exist. Those both. Wow, both of those things can be true. It can be very good, and it can still be overrated at the same time. Santa Fe, New Mexico. I don't know. The Santa Fe. I don't know if I could be quite that isolated out in the desert Southwest. It's a lot of dry heat. Like Phoenix, for example, I could definitely live in Phoenix outside of the fact that it's in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's not in the plains. Like it's so far from anywhere I would want to be. But I like Phoenix, Arizona a lot. My grandparents used to live there, and I've been there many times. Central's better than Eastern as an Easterner, especially for weather, because you can catch the evening/overnight events without ruining your sleep schedule. This is true, but there's other layers to it as well. For example, if like I lived in the Eastern time zone, I wouldn't have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to produce a forecast video. I'd have to get up at 6:30 in the morning, and I could still have it out by a very reasonable hour. Yeah, Phoenix is very hot, but it's a dry heat. It's not as bad as like the Mississippi heat. The temperatures are higher, but it's much more comfortable. All you really need is shade, and it's not so bad. How's the weather in Tampa? It's okay. Not really much going on in Tampa at all. You had a lot of general precipitation in the area earlier. Yeah, a couple of storms to your north now that have fired off here. So you might have a couple of storms rolling through the Tampa area, but it kind of looks like it's going to stay just north of Tampa. And these storms are kind of going to be rolling towards St. Petersburg a little more than Tampa itself. Iowa's pretty cool. Fremont, Nebraska, so great too. Yeah, Iowa is pretty cool. I could definitely consider Iowa, like Des Moines or something like that. There's a lot of different cities that I could consider, but like St. Louis for me, one, I grew up there. Two, it's an incredible sports town. Three, it has such a rich soccer history, and I'm a huge soccer guy. And four, it's got amazing food. Five, it's got literally every type of everything, like anything that I could need. The city has so much diversity. Like, just for example, just a random fun fact: we have the largest Bosnian population in the world that isn't in Bosnia. Randomly in St. Louis. There's also a massive German population in St. Louis. Like, there's so many different cultures in St. Louis, so I can get everything I need out of the city. It's a great sports city. It's a good place to raise a family in the suburbs anyway, not in downtown St. Louis, but which is better, soccer or football? It's not even remotely close. There's a reason that soccer is watched by half of the entire world and American football is not. But I will say American football is awesome. But comparing anything to soccer is always going to get that response out of me. And I also love hockey, and I would still say the same thing. I'm a huge hockey fan, but objectively, soccer is by far the best sport in the world, and it's not even remotely close. There is no genuine argument that can be made that actually proves that any other sport is better than soccer. And I say this as someone who's also a diehard hockey fan. I don't like basketball very much. It's like the sport itself is okay. The problem for me, like the NBA is so unwatchable. It's just entirely unwatchable. It's just a shootout. I mean, the problem is like players are almost too good at offense and no one really plays defense. It's just a shootout in the NBA. And there's so much flopping, and that's the number one issue with soccer, don't get me wrong, is the flopping. That's the number one issue with the sport right now. And it needs to be eradicated quickly, in my opinion. And it's needed to be eradicated quickly for like 2 decades now. Adrian, I'm about to ban you. Get that rage bait out of my chat. People who can't watch soccer typically are the people who like have really short attention spans and like need Subway Surfers on the side of their screen in order to like survive their day. Because yes, it's not quite as like action packed of a sport as hockey or football, for example, or even basketball. But it's by far the most beautiful game. Like the way it flows, it's so fluid, dude. It's genuinely the best sport that exists. I'm from Norway and laughs when people said the Super Bowl is bigger than the World Cup. Yeah, genuinely, those people just have they just don't know. They're completely naive. They have no idea. They literally have no idea, which is unfortunate. But there are theories going around the World Cup's rigged. Do I believe that? No. The NBA is unwatchable. Yeah, college basketball is very fun. College basketball is a lot of fun. And I'm not a big basketball fan at all, but college basketball is a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. Oh, Norway was so robbed. Norway was I feel really bad. Erling Haaland's a beast, though. I mean, Norway's going to be coming back even stronger in 4 years. This World Cup's not a big setback for Norway, in my opinion. I will say a lot of these storms out here south of Spartanburg have seemed like they've begun to like significantly weaken. This severe thunderstorm warning is 4 minutes remaining, and it probably won't last, or it probably won't be extended after that. Hockey Dad Wife with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. It's not letting me like heart it for some reason, but I see you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I like how you put your name as Hockey Dad Wife. Like I'm not gonna know like like I don't know who you guys are. I think the NBA might be rigged. I don't think any of these sports leagues are rigged. I think people have too much time on their hands. Yeah, no, I think Norway like probably weren't going to win this World Cup. They were my favorite team to watch. It was like them, DR Congo, and like Ivory Coast were really fun to watch during this World Cup. Spain and France they're both really great teams. I grew up hating the flopping in soccer. Now they flop in the NBA. Now I don't watch either. Yeah, I grew up playing soccer, hating the flopping, and I still hate the flopping, but it is still objectively the best sport. They just put a new flash flood warning, by the way, for the greater Raleigh area here in North Carolina. So that's going to be Wake County in North Carolina. So if you are in Raleigh, definitely be on the lookout. If you see flooded roadways, just turn around. Nobody has ever drowned by turning around when they see standing water. They only drown when they drive through. Marcus and Braden, I see you guys in the chat. Good to see you. Flopping in the NHL is horrible. It is not nearly as big of an issue as it is in the NBA and soccer. It's not even remotely close. It is a problem too. There is a lot of it going on, but it's harder to get away with, and the flopping happens way less often. It's really, 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 really bad in the NBA and in soccer, whereas it's just not so bad at all in hockey. Now, it is still a problem. But I feel like in the NHL, they actually do a pretty decent job at issuing fines and embellishment penalties. It's just a 2-minute minor for embellishment. I think they do a pretty good job with that, to be honest with you, which helps limit it. And I think soccer definitely has started to inch towards trying to do that. The NBA has not. But in soccer, for example, at this World Cup, there have been 2 different yellow cards that were removed from a player that was alleged to have committed a foul. And then VAR overturned that yellow card and in turn gave it to the person who flopped. It happened with Tim Ream and Miguel Almiron in the USA versus Paraguay match where Almiron flopped against Tim Ream. Tim Ream was shown a yellow card, and then VAR overruled that, and the yellow card was taken away from Tim Ream, and they gave one to Almiron for diving. And then it happened again just the other day. I forget which match it was. But it resulted in a red card, which was really brutal. I don't know why I'm blanking on which match this was. Oh, it was Switzerland and Argentina. That's what it was. Yeah, there was a Swiss player. He dove and he was already on a yellow card, and so the yellow card was given falsely to the Argentine player. And VAR overruled it. And since it was overruled, the yellow card can't just get removed. It has to be given to the player who dove. So even though it was a very harsh second yellow for a red card there, they did end up giving that red card to that player from Switzerland. And so Switzerland played down a man for the rest of the evening last night. Turn around, don't drown. Yeah, absolutely. I watched the Flyers versus Penguins playoff series, and it was very bloody. Oh, yeah. Battle of Pittsburgh, baby. Canes beat the Flyers. Yeah, Canes beat everybody, dude. Yeah, hockey is awesome. Yeah, if we had Erling Holland for the US team, ooh boy. Imagine him and Flo Balogun. Ooh. All right, we did get a new severe thunderstorm warning in North Carolina. That's going to include Chatham, Harnett, Johnston, Wake, Wayne, and Wilson counties. This one's still tagged with just 60-mile-per-hour winds and maybe some very small hail in there as well. Nothing that will be particularly damaging. We're looking at a Buc-ee's on the camera right now. That's funny. Let's full screen that for a second. There's a Buc-ee's. We got a Buc-ee's on the camera. Where's this at? In Texas, I see. So a cool storm out there, though, in Texas. Good find from Blake. Blake's helping out with the cameras this evening. Wes McCauley made me mad during the final because he would either call nothing or everything. He was so inconsistent. And Chris Rooney. I will say the refs in the NHL tend to do a really good job, like better than the refs in any other league, in my opinion, like major sports league. Adrian, you just haven't been in the right environment because what you just said is objectively so wrong. It's not even close. Like the soccer environment, and again, you're from Mississippi, and it's not your fault. You just haven't experienced it. Like it's not your fault for having this opinion. But I promise you, if you went to a European soccer match, you'd probably never look back. We have a really incredible camera view here that you're seeing now in the top left of your screen, as large as I can make it. A really beautiful shelf cloud there. This is in Palmer, Texas here on I-55. Or I-45, excuse me. Looking northbound. And we just saw some lightning on there. This is a really, really beautiful camera feed here with a little bit of that sunlight backing the storm in that rain shaft. And you can just see that shelf cloud at the top of your screen. This is just a beautiful one out here. Really, really, really beautiful storm. I'm going to keep that on the screen for the time being. And I'll, in the bottom of your screen, you're going to see those storms near Raleigh. We'll keep those at the bottom for now. The umpires in baseball suck. That's why they did ABS. Yeah, I will say baseball is one of the harder sports to be an official for. I'll say that. It is very tough. I think they get a lot more hate than they should. But in the same breath, I'll also say that some of them do really, really bad. Some of them are really bad. Like Angel Hernandez, obviously, was really, really bad in the later years of his career, especially. And like CB Bucknor has been really, really bad. This is just a really beautiful feed that we've got here, by the way. I'm just going to leave this up as like fully sized here while we keep chatting because this is just gorgeous. Am I going to have to water the plants this week? We might get some storms in the St. Louis area. Bojangles, good. Storm clouds are really beautiful with the setting sun. Yeah, that's what we're looking at here right now. We got a beautiful beaver's tail at the top of your screen. I wish that like text box that says Parker Hill Road wasn't on the screen because this is just gorgeous here. If you could get a soccer team to sell out Death Valley or any SEC stadium, I'd give it a shot. Adrian, that's already happened like many times. My brother, this happens all the time when these teams come to the U.S. and international matches too. Literally just an MLS match sold out Arrowhead Stadium. It's like 80,000 people. Just Messi alone being on Inter Miami versus Sporting Kansas City, which is the worst team in the league, sold out Arrowhead Stadium. Like, I'm telling you, you just don't know. And again, it's not your fault. You're just not around it. It's not your fault at all. You were born and raised in the South. One day the South will catch on to soccer. It might be 2 decades from now, but one day it'll happen. I think part of it's going to require the players to start playing a little grittier and a little more physical and stop flopping. And then people in the South will be, more willing to catch on to the wave. You're interested in experiencing it, dude? Yeah, no, man, I would love to take you out like to a good match, bro. Like if you were ever able to come up to St. Louis one day for a St. Louis City match, that's a smaller scale. Obviously, that's not selling out Arrowhead Stadium, but I promise you that environment's awesome. LSU Death Valley or Clemson Death Valley. The Savannah Banana Ball is better than the MLB. It's different. A lot of people hate it. I actually like it. I think it's awesome. I think it's really good for baseball. Baseball has been a sport that's been declining in ratings. People just are having lower attention spans and they're losing that love of the game. And there just hasn't been that much excitement in the MLB. And I think Banana Ball just helps the kids get engaged with it from a younger age because it's just a little more exciting and fun for them. So I think that's really good. You would go? That's what you mean? Yeah, okay, I got you, Adrian. I would love to take you. Kind of off topic, but I saw rumors that Sporting KC are trying to sign Mo Salah. Yes, they are. And I don't think they're going to get him, but man, that makes me so mad. I don't know why anyone would hate Banana Ball. It's hilarious. People think it's a mockery of the game and of the sport. It's just a very old school opinion that is just people don't like change. They don't like new things. They don't like fun. They think it's a disrespect to the game. And like, obvious, but the difference is that Banana Ball is its own separate thing. Like these players are not playing in the league. It's its own separate thing. So that's what gets away from their argument, or that's what like debunks their argument, in my opinion. I think it's great for the game. I think it's great for the sport. Have you ever had a World Cup before, or is this the first year experiencing it in real life time? I'm assuming you're asking, have we ever hosted a World Cup in the United States before? And I actually think we did, like 50 years ago. I'm looking this up. Yeah, okay. It was 94. Okay, it wasn't as long ago as I thought it was. That was like only 30 years ago, 32 years ago or something. Yeah, we hosted it back in 94. That was the only time though. A baseball game as an adult is an absolutely atrocious experience. I think baseball, the watching experience is entirely about who you're with and what you're doing. If you're just sitting there baking in the sun with a $30 beer, like by yourself, and like, it's not going to be a lot of fun. But if you go with like some good people and you're having good conversation and you know enough about the teams to like know some of the guys that are coming up to bat and like, understand what's going on, I think it's a lot of fun. And this is coming from someone who's not a huge baseball fan. Not a soccer fan, but I'm loving all the foreign fans, loving on the USA. Oh yeah, everyone's been loving the US. I've seen so many videos that are coming out. Like the media has really been lying about the United States. This place is awesome. And it's like, yeah, it's crazy what happens when you go and visit a thing. It's the same thing with Americans going to other places too. It's like, it's crazy what happens when you actually push your boundaries a little bit and go experience other things. A lot of times you might like some of it. And this beaver's tail at the top of your screen is just absolutely gorgeous, by the way. This shelf cloud is just stunning. Visually, just stunning. Need to experience watching football IRL until you can judge it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Why do I want St. Louis SC to sign up? Sign up for what? Same as the Globetrotters. I love it. It's an act. Absolutely. It's the exact same thing as the Harlem Globetrotters. It's the exact same thing. My dad's been a baseball fan for decades and he loves banana ball. Isolated issue among the old timers, it seems. Yeah, for the most part, it is like older folks that don't like it. They're saying it could happen again in 2038. Oh yeah, the US could easily. The thing is, when it comes to which nation's going to host the World Cup, it comes down to a handful of things. It comes down to money, right? Because you have to be able to actually host a World Cup. For example, a country that doesn't really produce that much, like they're just not making that much money. Like maybe like a more like a less fortunate country. I'm trying to think of the right words. Would not be able to host a World Cup because they can't afford to build those stadiums and house all those tourists. But so that limits it down dramatically onto who can actually host. And then from there, it's about the countries submitting their own bids to host the World Cup. And then you also have to think about it from an optics perspective, right? Because FIFA is always trying to gain exposure and grow the sport. So where's a really good place to go? Well, the United States is the largest consumer in the world, and the majority of the United States is not a fan of soccer. So hosting it in the US multiple times is really good for the sport. So they're going to probably host it again in our lifetimes. It might not be soon. It might be in 20 years, but they'll probably host it again in our lifetimes at some point. Oh, do I wish that City were trying to sign Mo? I mean, no, not really, because we don't need a winger. But I wish we were trying to sign somebody like that. We need a striker, is what we need. We need a target 9 desperately. Minor league games are where it is, even if some of the players are nobodies, the teams are very local, so there's a lot of pride among the fans. It's just really fun. Yeah, no, those more intimate environments are a lot of fun. Do I support any European soccer teams? I'm not like a diehard fan of any, no. I just I enjoy tapping in and watching the matches for the sport, less for an individual team out there. I've spent some time on and off, like sort of supporting Chelsea, but I would not call myself a Chelsea fan. I've never really been like a certified fan of any type of club overseas. I love baseball. It just takes learning and understanding to understand what's going on. It's especially good if you watch good broadcasters. Some of them suck, who give insights into the strategy. Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. And baseball, yes, it does have a learning curve. So does soccer, to be fair, because it's a simple game, right? You know, pass the ball around, try to put it in the net, right? It's a simple game, but there's so much nuance in the tactics. Um, there is actually a pretty steep learning curve in terms of understanding the game. But it's really easy for anybody who doesn't know anything about the sport at all to just sit down in the stadium and be like, "Oh yeah, try to shoot the ball in the net." Like same thing with hockey even. Anybody can watch it and be like, "Oh yeah, violence," and try to put the puck in the net. But there's a major learning curve if you want to understand like more of what's going on in a deeper perspective. Yeah, I've watched a decent amount of baseball, but I don't even understand a lot of it. Baseball is more complicated than really any other sport, in my opinion, in terms of like stats and like all the buzzwords they throw at you. The US also emphasizes sports so much and has the most large stadiums in relative distance to each other. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the US is a phenomenal place to host sporting events. There's no denying that. Whether love or hate the country, that's the reality that we live in. The players still aren't bad. Do they eventually become major leaguers? Some of them. Oh, they do. Oh, that's not a question. You're talking about minor league games. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And a lot of injured players, like really good players, will go play in the minors when they're recovering from injuries and things like that. Hockey is probably one of the easiest to learn, especially in depth. Yeah, I would. I think that's somewhat fair. Yeah, it's definitely somewhat easy to learn, like the basic in depth components for sure. We did get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Arizona. I can take a look at in a little while. Football is really complicated once you get to the higher levels of understanding, but it's really cool to know a lot about it as you watch for longer. Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Not hard if you're Holland. Yeah, Holland loved the Canes, man. He loved the Carolina Hurricanes. Erling Holland, man. He's awesome. I love that dude. Still just a really gorgeous storm, by the way. We've been watching here on the screen. And again, this is down in Texas where this storm is. I know right now the radar you're seeing in the background is looking at the Raleigh area where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for 60-mile-per-hour winds as it's moving south of Raleigh now towards Smithfield, Benson, Four Oaks. Some of these winds a little bit gustier, but I will say a lot of them have downtrended just a little bit. I don't think I'll ever understand the nuance of penalties in hockey. Yeah, that's fair. Thank you for switching the camera, by the way. I would assume Blake did that. No one's even in the call with me though, which is fine. I'm actually not even. I'm not even in it. They just seem so inconsistent, even to someone who knows about the sport in depth. Yeah, there is a lot of nuance in hockey for sure. Here's that new severe thunderstorm warning in Arizona. It is going to replace the old one that was in place in Pinal and Pima counties in Arizona. So effectively, we have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map, 1 in Montana, 1 in Arizona, 1 in North Carolina. And again, we're looking at a total of 16 flash flood warnings on the map as well. I'm going to keep things going for just about 14 minutes or so. 15 minutes. I don't know why I said 14. Just about 15 minutes or so. And then we'll probably end the broadcast for the night. Am I going to hang out in VC after the stream? Definitely possible. We will see. Basketball is the weirdest fouling system. Oh, it absolutely does. Dude, basketball fouls are so weird. Nuance in world football penalties even tougher. Yeah, the thing about soccer, man, is that when you're calling fouls, a lot of it is left to the referee's discretion. And that's kind of similar for hockey too. But really in soccer more than any other sport, the referee, the individual referee that you have reffing the game dramatically changes the game more than really any other sports. And that's not really like the referee trying to make themselves like the center of attention most of the time. It can happen sometimes, but generally that's just due to the nature of the game. The fouls are not very cut and dry, you know? Like in baseball, when you commit an infraction, there's a very specific thing that you did, and everybody knows exactly what you did. And rule 16.5.4.A.C will tell you exactly what happened and why you received some sort of why you committed an infraction. But it's not like that in soccer. It's much more fluid. Hockey is sort of like that, but not quite. Possibly a tiny bit of rotation near Selma. Not really much of anything, but possibly a tiny bit there. Something I'm gonna keep an eye on here over the next few minutes. Oh, I agree about hockey. One game we have people being slammed in the ground after the whistle, no penalty. Next game, someone does the same thing and gets 2 for roughing. Yeah, absolutely. Hockey and soccer are most closely related with that type of stuff. I like VAR, but 70% of Europeans don't like it. I get it, but it's new and needs. Yeah. Yeah, I mean VAR, it's good for the game. It is good for the game. It's important that like the calls are correct, you know. But I get some people being skeptical about it, but like there's got to be a point where you're just like you're willing to bite the bullet and just be like, all right, like it's here and it works and it makes the calls a little more accurate in the game. It gives us a chance to make sure that things end up correct. So why are we against this, you know? Yeah, definitely looks like we maybe had a very brief like weak broad rotation near Selma that doesn't look like it could be tornadic, so that's good. Instantly disintegrated. Back from day one of helping with my church's VBS. When you're a kid participating in it, you never want it to stop. But when you're a helper for it, you're like, can this just end already? Fair enough. Highland Weather TV, I see you in the chat. How you doing tonight? Exactly. Fairness, but they need to use it correctly. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Oy, oy, oy. Good. How about you? I just came across your coverage on my For You page. Great job and love the graphics. Well, thank you. We're happy to have you here. Not a lot going on today, so good on you for tuning into any trusted meteorologist, whether it's your local folks. We did just get a considerable severe thunderstorm warning show up out of nowhere in Utah. Where did this come from? That showed up out of completely thin air here. So this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning out here in Utah for Cedar City, Hamilton's Fort, Canaryville, Iron Springs, Newcastle type of area. This is Iron and Washington counties. 60-mile-per-hour winds with this one. It was upgraded, I believe. Or no, they just slapped this on the map for 22-minute warning, I guess. Fair enough. 70-mile-per-hour winds with this one. That's what they got it tagged for anyway. This isn't screaming at me on radar like this is producing 70-mile-per-hour winds, but fair enough. What I do for the 4th, I spent some time with my friends and family. It was a lot of fun. Do I think that this will be the end? What do you mean by that? What radar am I using? I am using GR2. Yeah, interesting considerable here. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously some pixels showing up here a little bit brighter, but there's still a little bit of contaminated data here. This is a pretty small storm here. I assume this is tagged for like that type of kind of downburst scenario, but I don't know. Let me pull up METAR and see if I can get any readings down here near Cedar City, because I don't know. I don't really understand. I don't know. I must be missing something here. I don't know exactly what's prompted this, because it didn't say that there was a measured wind gust. Oh, no, it was observed. Okay, so that's why. I was like, on radar, this doesn't look like anything at all. It says radar indicated here, but then down here it says wind threat was observed. So that's why this warning was put in place. I was like, what am I missing here? Because radar presentation, this doesn't look impressive at all. Definitely ate too much on the 4th. Fair enough. That's what I figured. Just want to make sure. Yep. Yeah. Using GR2, it's a cream of the crop for radar analysis. I will say there will probably be a day where we switch to something else that gives me a little bit more flexibility. We did get a severe thunderstorm warning down in Mississippi, northwest of Jackson. So I was actually watching these storms back when they were near Hamburg. We were looking at traffic cameras on these ones. And I did say that as they got towards Rolling Fork, we could see a severe warning. Obviously, this has made it a lot further than Rolling Fork, as Rolling Fork is back up in this direction. But we do now have a severe thunderstorm warning in place here. Redbird, I see you in the chat. Good to see you. This one is tagged for 60-mile-per-hour winds, radar indicated, and there are some stronger winds. Possibly a little bit of rotation actually was in place here near Satardia. But definitely has broadened out. Perhaps just a tiny bit of rotation still in place there. So that'll be something to pay attention to. Yeah, subtle foreshadowing. Does the National Weather Service just pull severe thunderstorm warnings out of thin air? No, I mean, no. It's anything that they issue is either going to be severe thunderstorm, like threshold things that they're seeing on radar, different radar indications can lead to that. Obviously, you have to take into account turbulent mixing with those winds. So essentially, the winds that you're seeing on the radar here, for example, like these winds are at 2,200 feet that we're looking at. And they're only coming in at like 30 to 40 miles per hour. Right. So at the surface, when there's more friction and there's more, turbulent air, those winds are naturally going to be slower on average. But you're also looking for wind gusts. That's what they're warning for with these. It's a wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, not sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. We're based out of Asheville, North Carolina. So we got some storms, and just scrolling through YouTube while I wait to see if I need to go live. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, out in North Carolina, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at all. In the greater Asheville area, you have had a lot of precipitation just on the other side of the mountains, back towards Knoxville and in eastern Tennessee. A lot of precipitation. We have that considerable flash flood warning in place for Knox County out there. Feels like GSP does. It'll slap a severe on anything, it seems. Different WFOs operate in different ways. It's okay. A little bit of swearing in the chat is not a big deal. That camera in the bottom left of your screen is still pretty cool looking. You can see some of that sunset looking type of color coming through on the horizon, and some general rain in that area. That is looking at Ennis, Texas. We're looking at the storm here in Raleigh. Just south of really now. Where, yeah, I don't think this is going to develop any type of rotation that could become tornadic, but definitely could be producing some gusty winds out here throughout North Carolina, south of Raleigh as it continues to head off towards the southwest. Whoops. There we go. Something like that. I'm testing out an open source radar program. Wish me luck. I do wish you luck. All right, I will say, that being said, we are going to go ahead and end the broadcast here because the severe weather threat is significantly going to decline for the evening. So here's a look before we end things on what's going on around the nation. We do have this severe thunderstorm warning south of Raleigh, 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's got 14 minutes remaining, and it might get extended with a new downstream warning that would look something like this, maybe, as it continues down through areas like Goldsboro and eventually towards like Clinton, maybe, in North Carolina. But the storm's going to eventually begin to start weakening here as the atmosphere is using up a lot of its energy. And there we go. We actually just got that new downstream warning. How about that? So we just got that new downstream warning here. So this one is going to continue off towards the south. That doesn't surprise me at all. So a good warning there. Out in Utah, we are looking at this considerable severe thunderstorm warning where we had it measured wind close to 70 miles per hour west of Cedar City. So that's still something to pay attention to in Iron and Washington counties. Down in Arizona for Pima and Pinal counties, this is south of Phoenix and west of Tucson, a residual severe thunderstorm warning that will be allowed to expire eventually here as some of these storms have begun to weaken. It has 43 minutes remaining on it, but it probably will be allowed to expire or will be lifted before that time is up. I doubt they will extend this with a new severe thunderstorm warning down there. And then, back into Mississippi, just northwest of Jackson, some stronger storms out there. We could really see severe thunderstorm warnings for any of these storms, just depending on what mesoscale magic tends to happen with these. We could also see a lot of different flash flooding zones around the Mississippi River, especially with these storms. So they're going to continue to push off towards the south and east. So if you are in those areas, be on the lookout for that. Right now, they are to the northwest and west of Jackson. So areas out in this general vicinity could still be experiencing some stronger storms throughout the evening here tonight. And then finally in Montana, we have one severe thunderstorm warning left for some of these dry thunderstorms. This has 12 minutes remaining on this warning, and it will be allowed to expire. It will likely not be continued afterwards. So that's what's going on around the country. We do have a total of 15 flash flood warnings in effect still, including one considerable flash flood warning for Blount and Knox counties here in East Tennessee for Knoxville, and to the southwest and south of Knoxville. So if you're out there, if you see standing water on roadways, turn around, don't drown. It's not worth it. No one's ever drowned by turning around when they see standing water. You only drown or lose your vehicle if you drive into it. Your vehicle is not a hero all the time. So yeah, definitely make sure that you've liked and subscribed before you head out for the evening. That's the number one way you can support the work that we do. I'm incredibly grateful for all the support this evening and over the last just over a month as we've gotten things launched here and really gotten going. So really, really grateful for the support. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Everyone stay safe out there. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in our Discord. You can join that at the link in the chat there that our Nightbot just posted from Kaysen as he ran that command. And then you can also visit our website to get your own outlooks here in very good fashion. I'll switch to no cams mode. We had a beautiful view on that camera there just a second ago. But I'm just going to show quickly what you can do with our website. You can look at the outlooks for every single day of the week. You'll see the Storm Prediction Center has maintained a 2% tornado risk in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as of, when was this? At 3 p.m. Central Time. But there really is not any more tornado risk going on for today. For tomorrow, we're looking at a very quiet day. Tuesday, we'll have a forecast video coming out, so we'll have everything you need to know with that video. Make sure to have notifications on for that, as we will have more severe weather back into the northeast. And then as we go forward in time, we're looking at a couple of possible days of severe weather, especially Friday back in the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley. So a lot to look out for, and you can visualize all that for yourself, read about it. You can see what areas are going to be impacted. You can navigate this map to figure out what's going on in your area. Of course, I'm in St. Louis, and there's nothing going on tonight. And you can even go to the forecast here for your location. Here's where I'm at. And you can see your current conditions. You can also see what's coming up over the next 5 days, including the Storm Prediction Center's risk for your zone. Of course, there isn't one for me over the next 5 days, so nothing shows up there. And there also are no warnings for my area or watches. If there were, those would show up as well. So all sorts of things you can do visiting our website. It's an incredible tool. I'm not trying to sell you anything. We don't gain anything from people using our website. It's just a good tool to help try and keep people safe and keep people weather aware. So again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope everyone has a great rest of your evening. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe if you haven't done those things already. And we'll see you guys very soon. So stay safe out there, and thank you so much for tuning in.